All right, and it looks like we are live. Let me know if the picture and audio is coming through. Looks like everything is good on my end. Also, can I do this? Or do I lose the screen? Okay, so we cannot be in full screen mode. That is so weird how that works. That's okay. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. And the work is going to continue on this castle. I have been very busy, in between on streams. I believe the last we left off, I was working on the outside, getting that all of the gradient input, and since I have done the inside, as well as started on the main corridor area, as well as I actually used Lightmatica and took the tree that I built inside of the Zetacraft shopping district and pasted it into here, because it'll be when you'll see the other episodes that is no longer there. So as always, we are in the creative copy of the world, and none of this is on the actual server, so that is why I am flying around. But I'm glad to have everybody here today, and I hope you guys are enjoying your wonderful Saturday. It's Saturday for me, right around 4:30 p.m. because I am Pacific time. And I think we're going to get some work done on this thing, trying to get more of the gradient and the design kind of nailed in on this. So with that, let's just go ahead and work on... I think I'll work on the other side of this, because I'm just trying to get as much of this gradient in as possible. So I'm just going to snag up all of my blocks that I need, and why not, let's grab these two. We'll cruise right on over here, which I guess I want to take a quick little moment to showcase this entrance in here that I spent a lot of time working on with the design. I had so much fun really trying to detail this thing out and add as much realism as possible with the gates and all of that. I had a lot of fun, as well as the very expensive detail block of the lodestone. And then you might also see the particles floating around. I have strategically hidden a few spore blossoms up there we are right there, to give ourselves a little bit of the random effects with the particles. So I believe there's one right around the gatehouse, so we should see some particles. There they are. Just wonderful. I am absolutely in love with this so far. But let's go ahead and zip right on over to this side, and we'll work on getting this beautiful gradient in. And right now we are facing north, so we're on the south side of this. So we could get away with a little bit more moss as compared to what we would have, say, over here on the east side, where it would be getting the most sun exposure. Because I'm trying to add a little bit more of a realism element to this. I'm not really going to fantasy vibe with this, except for, of course, the particles. So with that, let's go ahead and just start piling in the moss. That's where I start, is just by putting in the moss blocks and just kind of working my way up from there. So I don't know, let's bring it up just like that, and then maybe go over a few more. We're not going super heavy on the moss of this one, so probably about 3 blocks tall will be the max it will go. Maybe we'll even go like 2 there. And then we'll go here, and technically this side will all be protected from the sun, so we're going to go ahead and get away with quite a bit more moss over on this area, which I think will look outstanding. Yep, just kind of relaxing, chilling on this wonderful Saturday afternoon. I took like a 3-hour nap earlier, and now I am just ready to get some more progress done on this, because I am so pumped to try to get this thing into the actual Zetacraft world. It's going to look so amazing. I just know it will. Here we are. Just like that. Bring this moss around. Okay, let's go ahead and just kind of section this off to this area, as to not work on getting too much. So on the areas where we have these larger flat faces like this, I do minimum 2 tall for the gradient. So we'll start with the mossy cobblestone and just build this up, and then of course we'll move right along to the cobblestone, because that is the gradient that I decided upon. And really the inspiration that I had for this was I took a 2-week trip years ago with my best friend, and we went and we traveled around Europe. We started off in Dublin, Ireland, spent about 3 days or so there, and then we moved right over to Edinburgh, Scotland, which was only supposed to be another 3 day kind of little journey. But we were just enjoying the town and the nightlife and all that so much that we actually extended that to 1 full week. And we took the time to go and visit all sorts of castles, and we went up into the Highlands. It was just a truly magical trip. I have so many fond memories of it. And then we went on to Munich, Germany, where we were there during Oktoberfest. So we had so much fun just kind of going and hanging out with everybody and drinking the local beer and just having the best time ever. And then the last 3 days, I believe, we went over to Nuremberg, Germany. And there at this point, we were kind of broke. We ran out of money. It was a very expensive trip. But we were just having so much fun, just going out on daily adventures. And so when we were in Nuremberg, it was basically we could just stay in the hostel and wherever we could walk, because we couldn't afford to actually go anywhere. Our flights and all that were paid for, so we weren't worried about that. It was just a matter of food and drink that was really the bit of the struggle. So when we were in Nuremberg, we went and checked out Nuremberg Castle, and I have this very specific picture in mind. I can't really post it on the screen right now since I'm live, so you'll just have to take my word for it. But I was looking at some of the fortifications that they added. I forget, I think it was somewhere around the 14th or 16th century or something like that, is when the development of cannons were very popular in warfare. So what they would do is, they had these castles and places that they needed to protect. Well, the enemy had cannons, so they needed to thicken up their walls to be able to withstand cannon blast. So what they did is they just completely added on, I forget how many feet or meters it was. It had to have been somewhere around 10, 12, 14 feet thick. These just heavy duty walls. And they went through and just added in all of the fortification. Well, obviously that stuff's been there for a while, and it's started to get all overgrown. And this picture that I have is of the rampart area of this castle, but it has all of this super thick moss that's growing on the top of it. And I just this tiny little area just really spoke to me, and I'll never forget the look of that area. And so that's kind of the inspiration that I was carrying over through here. I'm not trying to go for the exact details about where the moss was. I'm just using the general gradient from the ground up, and I'm adding in little highlight areas for where I think that water could be leaking or something and staining the stone walls of this castle. So that's where I'm going with that. And if we were to go ahead and fly right on over to here, you can get an idea what I was talking about as far as, say there was a lot of rain coming down here. There's maybe been a leak on the roof or something, so it didn't shed the water all the way off to the ground below. And it was actually running down the side of the building, leaking under here, following this roof line, getting underneath that roof, so running all the way down. So that's kind of the general inspiration that I had for this, and I'm just trying to carry that throughout on the rest of this structure, which I think gives a very visually appealing look, because you kind of have that dark to light transition. And I think that it's coming along pretty well. So from here, we'll just go ahead and continue this up. And the inspiration picture that I have for this, you can only see the castle from this angle. So as far as where I chose to put all of these little pop outs and the soffits, the dormers in this, it's all kind of based off of that inspirational picture, but I obviously don't have any over here. So I'm just going to kind of freestyle basing the design off of what we have on the rest of this castle. So I think we have enough space over here that I'm going to go ahead and do like 2 little pop outs. Maybe do one right here. Could make a lot of sense as far as where the wall goes in. They can have archers or something into here to help to defend the southern side of this castle. And since we have enough room, we'll go ahead and make this a pretty large little fortification. And I think that I'm going to, for now, swap out to stone, since we don't really have a gradient there yet. I'm probably going to do the same thing as far as adding in the mossy little highlights that we have. So we'll go pretty healthy on the size of this thing. Somewhere right around here. Oh, not that. Just about like that. And then build it on up from here. Yeah, say about this big, enough to put another window. Let's go like that. Let's make it a single high window. Be enough room to be defensible. Actually, you know what? It's more of a defensive position. Let's go ahead and make this look more like a standard arrow slit, like that. So from here, I've used the cobbled deep slate as a means to add the little bit of shadow that I was talking about in the last stream. So we'll go ahead and carry that little bit of decoration throughout, and then we'll build up our roof from here. And that we just start by putting in granite to mark the first little lip, and then our granite slabs we'll put on the top level so you can still highlight that cobbled deep slate, and then we will finish it off. Put one more in there, and then the walls on top of it. And that's kind of like the general design that I'm using for these little pop-outs. I believe it's almost the same exact design that I did over here. Oh, except that we need to round this out with a little bit of walls. I think this will look real nice. Just adding in a few of those to round it out. And I don't think I want to go full round on it. But there we go. Looks a little bit short, so I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead and expand this up by 1, and then we'll go ahead and rebuild all of this. That's kind of the idea for what I'm having for this castle. Is it's a lot of put it in there, sit back, look at it, tweak it, rebuild it. When I was working on the roof for this, Ricky CFT actually joined me in this world, and he helped me to design the kind of angles of this. And after he left, I'm pretty sure I rebuilt this roof like 3 more times, because the original height of this structure, the roof started right about here. And so this little pop-out section was down lower, and it just wasn't looking right for the scale. I just kind of used the reference point right over here, and it wasn't like you could barely see that tower. And now right here, it really puts that forced perspective into play. And I think when you come to the portal on the Zetacraft server, which is somewhere right about here, you can really see how much this castle has all these different layers and depths, and I think it just really comes together. Like I said, I'm having a blast to design this thing, and I just cannot wait to get this thing into the world. Okay, so there we go. Let's go ahead and redo that same roof pattern that we had discussed, with the granite in the walls and slabs. Nice and easy. Go ahead and pop those 3 in there. And then of course I do go back in there to create a little bit more visual interest with the brick and the polished granite blocks. But first, let's go ahead and just get this shape. So if you'll notice, I spent way too much time on this last night, and actually technically this morning. I was up to about 1 a.m. just trying to fill in all of the stone for that building, this tower, as well as that last night. And I just wanted to be able to get the solid shapes so that when we come in today, we can spend more time working on the design of this. Then we have to worry about me just sitting there putting stone blocks in, getting really bored of it. Okay, so I think that looks pretty nice. Looking at it now, I feel like we'd have room to put 2 of these in. So if we were to take this same little pop out and move it down to say here, that'd give us enough room to put another one in here. But for now, let's just go ahead and leave it. And let's add in just a little bit of more of these windows, and not so much as the fortification arrow slits. We can maybe do one, say, right here. But now up here, let's go ahead and transition into more of the living space. And let's see, we got our window right about there. So let's go ahead and pop a 2 wide window in like that. And say, let's go in between these little fortifications. Something like that. So I'm kind of thinking that this needs to just go ahead and come down. Oh, hey, Davey. On your way to bed. Oh, it's Geek Squeak. Oh, hey. What's up, man? Oh, that's funny. Glad to have you here. Thank you, thank you. That's funny. Yeah, just having a lot of fun working on the design. Just kind of chilling. I think we need some more of these fortifications. It just doesn't look quite right here. So maybe we'll go ahead and just take that out and not put in any windows. Let's just play around with the idea of maybe, can we center that other window like that? No, we'd need to come over one. So if we were to actually pop this one over to here, there we go. Yeah, see, that looks too busy now. How many diamonds did I spend in your name? None yet. I haven't really had much time to get on the Zetacraft world. I've been spending all of my free time in here working on this design because I'm trying to just hurry up and get this thing into the world. So let's see. We want to be on the third instep. So 1, 2, 3. Drop in another window. Does that line up? 1, 2, 3. Yep. Make sure there's no chimneys in the way or anything. And let's do the same thing on this side. 1, 2, 3. Just like that. Don't want to make this too busy. Yeah, I think we'll go ahead and let that ride for now. So we'll have a chimney there, it's not in the way. Chimney there, not in the way. Perfect. Alright, so the next thing we need to do is to add in our andesite in our transition. Well, not really transition, but this is more just to break up the stone texture and just add a little bit more visual interest to it. And then after this, we'll go back through and start to add in our water drips and moss and all that. So you're thinking that maybe I should replace some stones with stairs to give more depth like it's missing. So I'm not really going for a very battle-worn castle. Really the most I'm going with on this is with the kind of charred marks on that. For most part, I'm trying to make this a pretty prestigious looking castle. So instead of like what he's saying, if adding in these or something and making it look like it's taking a hit from artillery or something, I don't rule that out. How about that? Maybe since we can justify having it on this side, being there's no walls or other fortifications like that. So we'll let it ride right now. Good recommendation, Geek. Nope, so we wanted that there. Okay. And then of course we can upgrade that to some andesite stairs or something to kind of blend it. Oh no, I lost my connection. Okay. Wow, my Wi-Fi just completely went to the trash there. I apologize for that, guys. Let's go ahead and continue things up. Looks like we still have our video. The work in progress must go on. I spent too much time in between these streams working on this thing. I want to kind of just get your guys' feedback. Alright, Geek, you have a wonderful night. Where else can we add in some fun little bits and details? This I'm just going very sporadic with the design on this. Not really trying to follow any sort of design or anything. It's really just supposed to be a little bit of white noise in the look on this. And I do apologize if I'm having a bit of issues with this stream. It looks like my internet, I got about 4 out of 5 bars, so hopefully it'll last long enough for us. I do believe I'm sharing it with the rest of my family, so we're fighting a little bit on that bandwidth. So now that we have just a whole bunch of random andesite blocks in here, I'm going to go back in and add in the next little detail bit, which will be the stone brick. Just add that more kind of man-made look. I believe I talked about that on the last stream, where we'll just kind of make it look like whatever coating that they used on the castle has worn down over time, because like I said, it's not a super prestigious castle, but it's not too battle hardened in that sense. It's just kind of taken a lot of wear from the elements. So we'll go ahead and get rid of that glow lichen, which we'll add back in. Which also, I have a bit of a treat for you guys as we move this stream along. There might be times where I go ahead and load in shaders and look at this thing at night, because I think that's when this thing looks the best. It looks fantastic in standard vanilla Minecraft, but the moment that we go ahead and drop some shaders in here and we swap this out to night, that's where this thing just absolutely comes to life. Which, by the way, I went ahead and named the castle, and I wanted to know what your guys' feedback for it is. So I went ahead and named it Everglow Castle, and we will find out exactly why that is when I go and load in the shaders. You'll get a really good kind of feel for why it is named what it is. So we don't want to go super over the top with this stone. Is like I said, it's just supposed to be more of a highlight block, not supposed to be any sort of super heavy use or anything like that. So we'll probably keep it right about there, but we will go back in and see if I can find somebody around this wall. I know I have some around here somewhere. Looking for some of the cracked stone brick and the mossy. So here's our mossy. Let's go ahead and try to find ourselves some of the cracked version. There we are. Sneak that from the wall. It's a little bit faster than trying to look through my inventory space. And from here, we'll just ever so slightly mix some of this in with it. Actually, let's go ahead and go right here with that. Sure, why not? Let's do that right there. Kind of try to stay with that realism factor of where we would put the moss. I think one more cracked stone brick, right like that. So there we go. Let's see if we can squeeze in a little bit more of this battle-worn look somewhere in this castle. This seems like a pretty open little section of wall, so let's go ahead and put that in right there. There we go. Just that's pretty centered. So maybe if we were to go something like this, maybe take out that one, go more like that, some more chunks. Or do we go ahead and make this look like a line or something? Oops, like this. Kind of break up the verticality. I think that's the right word. I'm not in love with it. Let's go ahead and just take it out for now. I think we'll try to use more. We'll rarely use that since I don't want to go back through and kind of work all of this. We'll just use that ever so slightly as the kind of like a little Easter egg in the design on that. So that'll be something you guys will be let in on. Okay, so where would be a good spot to have some moss running down? The first kind of thing I'm thinking is to bring it right over here and back into this wall. So let's go ahead and try that out, see what that looks like. So we'll start from underneath here, like somehow the water's, you know what, let's go ahead and bring it all the way up. The sun would be kind of creating a shadow from here, so we could probably get away with putting more moss along this wall. So I think it'd be a lot of fun if we were to just bring it down, say go ahead and get to the corner there, and then bring it down and under. Maybe bring it all the way over to the roof, let it follow that down. This is gonna be a pretty elaborate looking moss patch that we got. And then we'll bring it right on down. Then from here, I think we'll go ahead and mix in our mossy cobblestone. We'll probably rework some of this because it can get pretty out of hand quite quickly with the mossy look if you're not careful. Because you gotta bring it all the way around to get that transition It might just be a little bit too busy. And then we'll need to swap that out and that one out for Mossy Cobblestone Stairs. And actually that one, you can see how very busy this can get just from that little bit of detail that we're trying to add in. Oop, not that. Let's go ahead and swap. Actually, it's supposed to be, there we go. Back to our Mossy Cobblestone. Technically that's supposed to, nope. There we go. Bring that on back. I think this will add fun little amounts of interest to our build, because you'll be able to see it from two different directions. Whoops. And we'll bring it right on down. Yeah, I think something like that. And then of course now we need to do the next stage of our gradient with the regular cobblestone. You know what? Let's leave that there. Let's see what it looks like. Wow, I cannot place blocks right now, because this helps to take up a lot of the open real estate that we have on the sides of this tower. I guess this would technically be the gatehouse. Let's go ahead and go one more down like that. Those need to be cobblestone, as does that. Okay, I don't hate this so far. Let's go ahead and put in our gravel for the next bit of our gradient. Go ahead and transition all of this. This will add fun little look all around here. You know what? Let's go ahead and go down 3. Oh, looks like we're having a little bit more internet bandwidth issues. Hopefully that doesn't take us back too much on the progress here. Oops. There we go. Oh yeah, it's just that right there. Loving the look. And see how the water is running down the side of this particular building. Looks like we could use a little bit more right in here. And that ties it all in. So now let's go ahead and put in our cobblestone stairs and such. And then of course we need some andesite. So I know I have one of each of these around here. Got those. Bring them right on back around. That definitely needs to be mossy. That needs to be mossy. Let's go mossy with that too. Take this out. Swap that to regular. There we go. That's a nice, fun little transition. And then let's go ahead and make this cobblestone. Oh, looks like we haven't done this area either. We'll go ahead and leave that crackstone brick there. So since we don't have gravel slabs, we'll go ahead and just swap that out for cobblestone. Lovely. One more. Why not? That's bugging me. That needs to be gravel too. Yeah, it looks a little weird, but I think it looks cool. It looks cool. It doesn't have to be, like I said, we're not going for absolute realism here. Yes. Yeah. You know what? I feel like this, we could get away with doing that right there. Get a little bit more drip underneath the eave there of that little connecting building. Alright, lovely. Now, let's not go with full-blown moss. Let's just put in a little bit of mossy cobblestone. Not like that. Not like that. Just right in here. Once again, we're just going for a little bit more visual interest. Here we go. Just a little pops of color. Perfect. Now we need to add in some andesite stairs or something to break up the busy, not really the busyness, but the boringness of this stone. There we go. I feel like we need something else right here. Oh, I know what we need. Time for my favorite detailing block, buttons. Just spam these bad boys all over. Lots of buttons. You get a button. You get a button. Everywhere gets a button. There we go. Just adds another subtle little layer of depth. Love it. This is going to be such a pain to build. But that, like I said, I'm going for super detailed here because I have every intention of using the Lightmatica mod to create the schematic to bring this into the Zetacraft world. So it's just going to have a block by block hologram image that I can just follow to recreate this. There we go. That is, in a nutshell, that's little side tower. I don't think we went too over the top with it. I think that just that one little single bump out is all we needed. Any more, I think it would have been too much of the granite and the depth. I think this will work out just fine. Is there anything else I need to... Oh, we need to go ahead and work the gradient on the roof. So put that, grab that. And I think I might have some polished andesite somewhere up here. Or not polished andesite, polished granite. Well, we don't have much room for a lot of this. Just these subtle little differences in color and texture will give you the visual effect that I'm going for. And why not? Let's put one more right there. And of course we need to swap out some of our walls. And since we don't have polished andesite walls, I just go with the standard brick. And the kind of idea that I've been following when I am doing the texture variation on this roof is whatever block is below, that's what I put the wall. So here's a classic example of me not following exactly what I said. Like that would technically be a brick wall, but you can kind of see brick, brick, bricks, same thing, bricks, just to thicken up that little bit of the feature that we're going for. So you can see it just like this. And you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and swap that one out too. Just like that. Now when you look at it from any direction, you'll see a nice healthy amount of brick. And I feel like that needs to be polished. Perfect. Now what I should have done is I was going to say I should have put this little bump out on the corner, but we have this tower right here. So maybe we will add that into one of the buildings over there. Add a little bump out because there's not really enough room for one here. I don't think it would look good down lower. Man, I feel like this needs to be taller. This isn't doing it for me. So where's my stone at? I think we'll just go ahead and swap that out to a regular window and then open things up on the inside. Because as of right now, at this exact moment, the insides are very, very boring. We'll have to work on that maybe in some future streams or something. Alright, so it looks like I actually blocked all this out. There we go. Perfect. I think that's a nice, cool little view of whoever expands into that part of the shopping district down the road. I think we just need to put in our windows. And this, I'm not really following any sort of specific look or anything. Just kind of spamming them in whatever color I think looks good or that I have highlighted. So we do like a gray one there, light gray there, whichever. Not going super planned about it. It's all very chaotic in that look. So there we go. Looking at this now. Yeah, a little bit more transition, just visual interest. Love it. Okay. So that's that in a nutshell. And then we'll go ahead and continue on up into this one. So we have the whole, this will be the main grand hall. And we have the huge tower, which I have big plans for. Another little connecting corridor. And then this will probably be more guest quarters, something like this. And then this can be the barracks or something, because then it connects into the wall. Maybe not. This will probably be the tavern area. Kind of got more of like a elegant look to it. It'd probably be better suited to some sort of like religious place or something like that. But I think it didn't make sense to have that be the first thing you see when you come in. It makes sense for this to be the tavern or some sort of feast hall, something along those lines. The one last little thing we need to add, which I think will be a great time now to change the time to midnight. I don't do night, I prefer midnight. So now we can get a look at what I was talking about as far as why I call this Everglow. And as soon as I drop in some shaders, you'll really get the perspective of it. So just using the glow lichen as a very subtle way to illuminate certain aspects and just add another layer of visual interest by having the different kind of light levels all around on this thing. Instead of just depending on putting torches behind windows or something like this, this opens up the possibility for very subtle lighting that you can't see it. It's not, you know, a sea lantern, something that's in your face. You look at it like, oh, clearly that's a thing of light of source or something. But this kind of, when you step back during the daytime, you'd never know that that's actually there. And that is exactly what I was going for with this design. Okay, so yeah, just kind of subtle little pops of the color. Now, let's go ahead and do a grand reveal here and swap on the BSL shaders and get a really good look at this thing. I'm so glad that I finally took the time to install the OptiFabric and Optifine and all that so we can go ahead and utilize these shaders. So take a look at this. Now is it kind of getting a little bit more in perspective as to why I call it the Everglow Castle, because with this particular shader on, that glow lichen actually takes the front seat and really pops on this thing. We could add in some sort of lore or something that this is some sort of magical vine or something that can be blown onto a wall or something attached to it, and then it illuminates the area around. Looks like we're going to need to do something here to keep our skeleton friend from spawning on the Zetacraft world. But I just love the look of this. And I think we could maybe tie in the lore or something of this going onto the tree. I took the time to wrap the trunk in this. Oh, I love those little rays of light from the moon. Oh, just beautiful. So there we can see that. Which is funny enough that the thing takes the front seat on this one, because if we were to swap things out to the continuum shaders, it actually completely changes the look and it kind of puts those back on the back seat again, and you just get more of that warm glow effect from it instead of that really blue-green vibe that we had before. But you can see just the little bit of difference the lighting can make on this whole structure. You have that big old tower in the back. It's just dark, and it's actually pretty ominous right now. It doesn't look very warm and inviting. But then we have all of this other area, and you have this beautiful little transitions of color and light levels scattered in around here. Okay, that's enough showing off. Whoops. Let's go ahead and turn these shaders off. Get it back onto daytime here. Get our little skeleton friend to peace out. And I think in order to keep him away, we'll go ahead and adapt this same design that I did over in this tower. Not very realistic from a defensive standpoint to have that right there. It would be illuminating the silhouette of the guards that are trying to protect the walls. But this is kind of more of a just for Minecraft to keep this area non-spawnable, excuse me. Okay, just like that. As well as, you know, maybe it might be a cold winter night or something like that. That might not be cold enough for snow, but if you're out there in all metal gear, it tends to suck the heat right out of you. Alright, I think that looks fantastic. I'm trying to decide if I want to adapt this same little pop out that we have here. Kind of thinking not for now. Put it on the background, but do be sure to let me know what you guys think if I should add in the little dormer look right there. So for now, we're going to clear out my inventory and let's rework that same gradient blocks that we have of our mossy cobblestone, and gravel. Oh, before we move along, I forgot I added 2 more different colors to this gradient, and that'll be the green wool as well as green concrete powder, just to add a small little breakup in the look of the moss. Since we have all this other kind of variation, to have this solid green down here can be a bit boring, so I just wanted to add in a few more different colors throughout on this. And of course we will add in a little bit of the bushes and stuff to break up the flatness of this. I didn't want to do that same vine trick that I typically do on most of my builds. We're just kind of let this color stand on its own and just let it be the star of the show. So something like that. Like I said, just subtle little differences of texture. Really, it's not too much of the color as it is the different textures. We'll just carry this right on along for the rest of this. Beautiful. And we need to work in the andesite on all that there. Let's go ahead and grab ourselves some standard azalea bushes, and that's what I've been using to create the bit of undergrowth here. And we'll just carry that throughout. There we go. Don't want to make it look too busy, so just tiny little pops of these leaves for another layer of depth. And now let's go ahead, grab our andesite and finish out this area. Which, if I remember right, I went ahead and dropped some windows in on this side. We should probably carry that through. So I didn't want to go too planned. These are 2 in from this side, but then on this one I went 3, and then I kind of reversed it on this side because I didn't want the windows to line up. I'm trying to go very free form with this castle, because in case you guys haven't noticed, I think I'm doing a pretty good job of challenging myself to not build on straights. We have this fortified gatehouse here, and this building here. Technically this one is 2, even though it has a rise up in elevation along it. But I'm trying to challenge myself to not build on straights. Most of this thing is going to build on some sort of diagonal, and I think so far that I'm accomplishing that. So let's come back down here and add in our windows. I don't want them to be lined up. So where were we on this side? Were we 2 from the gatehouse on the second one? So let's do 3 on this side. Why not? So 1, 2, 3. I think I was somewhere right in there, and I was doing 2 high windows. So let's do that same thing of the 3, and then this one will swap to 2, which actually makes a lot of sense because we'd have that opening there. Perfect. So now when you're looking straight through, it's not going completely through the build. Now we need to, of course, get our different block colors to follow the gradient that we've already established. So yeah, let's make this one cobblestone. Why not? This one cobblestone too. It kind of adds to the transition. And then those both don't have anything else in them for now. Maybe we'll work some more of the moss coming down this area. I think that'd be a great spot for it. But for now, let's go ahead and start from the ground up on the main hall. And kind of keeping in mind now that we're still on the south side, that we get a little bit more sun exposure, we'll kind of dial back our moss on here. Even though we have so much elevation to play with, we're going to have to think of a very creative way to add a lot of visual interest to this particular section of the castle. So for now, we're going pretty low and basic on this. We'll probably use more of the mossy cobblestone and all of that, but as far as the straight moss, yeah, I think we'll tone it back for this area. We'll go full over the top on the other side. I think that'll look good, because this is also not really a heavily kind of trafficked area of the shopping district yet. It's mostly developed over in this area, so a lot of people won't even really be coming over here, but I want to ensure that I take the time to fully detail this thing out all the way around. I don't want to put myself into a situation where I started it and then I kind of lose the interest and drive to finish out the entirety of the outside look. Not trying to call out anybody that doesn't finish the backs of their build, but like I said, I'm here with the Lightmatica and all that, so it's really easy for me to do all of this now as compared to trying to go back in later and finish this when I might not be quite as motivated to do so. So we'll kind of keep in mind the same 2-block transition for this, because that helps to eat up a little bit more of the real estate on this section of the castle. And we'll vary it up just to add that visual interest. Maybe we'll make that one too, since we have the little step up there. And kind of same thing there. Yeah, something like that. Now let's go ahead and bring in that cobblestone. Maybe we'll even go 3 on this one. I don't know. Why not? There's no rules here. It's Minecraft. We can do whatever we want. Which this is where I ask your guys' opinion. You know, what is your favorite thing to do in a build? Are you the type that likes to sit here and tweak until you get it right? Or is it just kind of, good enough? Or are you that person that's like, puts down 3 blocks, hates it, and just blows it up with TNT? So let me know down in the comment, what kind of style builder are you? Or do you prefer to build on the fly like I typically do, or do you just take the time like we're doing right now to really detail this thing out in creative mode before you move forward with trying to build it in survival? Or are you just a creative only building person? You know, there's nothing wrong with that. I've seen so many amazing YouTubers and just other builders that are strictly creative, and you know, there you're not under the limitation of the blocks. You can add in, you know, all sorts of other command blocks and such to really take that thing over the top. And then there's always the aspect of doing modded Minecraft and adding in all of the other small little features that bring it that much closer to complete realism. Or maybe you're not going for realism, you just want that full-fledged fantasy immersion aspect. It's just, I've said it once, I've probably say it 1,000 more times, hopefully not on this stream, but you know, Minecraft is the ultimate sandbox game, because it really just lets you do whatever you want. The only kind of limitation would be to typically use the 1 meter square blocks to try to accomplish whatever you want to design. Okay, so there we have that little section. It's bugging me right now that we don't have the overhang for the ceiling. Like I said, I was really tired last night / this morning when it came time to filling in all these structures, so I just kind of did the minimum to get things prepared for today. There we go. This needed to happen right here. Much better. So another little kind of tip that I use when I'm building on diagonals is you'll see that this is on 3, but the last ones are a 4, and you'll see that on every aspect of my angle builds. If it's, you know, a 2 angle, the last one will be 3, or if it's, you know, a 4, it'll be 5. I think this is the only exception right here because there's no flat face. It's just connected as is with these ones. And I don't know, I just found that seems to work out, a lot better to add in that extra little block on the end, because that gives you that same 3 wide on the inside to follow suit. And I really don't think it breaks the immersion on the outside. As well as I just found it to be easier while still looking really good to do the flat faces like that, instead of trying to build this face right here to match that diagonal. I just couldn't quite find the right formula. And in the case of, say, this building right here, where we have this really nice kind of gothic arches and stuff in the top and the peaks, that wouldn't be as easy to accomplish if this front face was just on that same 3 diagonal. Like I said, let me know what you guys think, but I'm content with it having those flat faces, and it's not that I'm saying, oh, that's good enough. I think legitimately it looks good like that. And then you also, kind of going back to this roof design, with the inspiration photo on this top keep, this steps out a little bit more. I think that looks pretty cool like that. Just a little bit small little detail like that, because it's the only building like this that has that little extra bump out. And yeah, I think I like it. It's just those, like I said, the small little details. Something that you can see later on after the shock value of this whole build has kind of worn off. Okay, now we got our base gradient down there. I want to take the time to add in the moss running down here. I think this would look really good if we were to add that in here. So let's just start right at the peak of this roof. Maybe we can make it seem like, you know, when wind's blowing or something, it blows a lot of the rain off of this part of the roof and back over to this. I don't know. We'll figure that out as we go. But for now, I think I'll just start with the moss blocks right along this section. So I think we can get away with going a little bit heavier with the look on this. Maybe we'll start somewhere around there and then bring it back for another 2. I don't want to sit there and go 2, 2, 2, 2, 2 all the way down. Let's take the little bit more time, kind of look at what's, like I said, I'm not trying to go for a pattern or anything. I'm very organic with this build. So we'll start up here, add in our transition into the mossy cobblestone, and work our ways down. Oops. Yeah. Let's try this out. Of course, we need to follow this look all the way down. And make it look like the water's kind of following any sort of imperfections of the building when it's flowing downwards. I think we need to go a little bit more, you know, just a little bit more. Okay, I think that's a good start. And then let's finish this out with our standard cobblestone. That might look a little busy here. Need to try to break this up a little bit. I think we'll go ahead and add a little bit more moss of it running off and around to justify a little bit more, to break up that super flat line that we had of that other cobblestone. Yeah, let's go with that. So another question for you guys: when you are playing Minecraft and you're designing, do you like to listen to podcasts, music, or anything like that? I typically, when I'm just, what I've been doing for this build almost entirely, is I will listen to a lot of music. And I have a little bit of variation in the different genres and stuff of what I listen to, but it'll typically be kind of more soundtrack style. I like to listen to, you know, the Skyrim or something like that soundtrack to really put me in the mood, to, especially on the style that I choose to build in. That kind of helps reflect what music I will choose to listen to when I'm designing. As well as that just goes for general Minecraft in general. If I'm doing something I just want to relax and chill, I'll put that on. But, you know, maybe grinding for resources, I put something a little bit more fast-paced on, a little bit more, you know, metal or something like that, to really kind of help me get psyched up for just doing the monotonous tasks of grinding for resources. Okay, there we go. I like that. I think that works well. Now let's go ahead and Let's bring that up a little bit more. This is a very, very flat and boring face. Should we do the standard gradient? Or can we justify... I think we should add in some windows. Let's start with the windows, and then we'll go from there. I don't think I would justify putting one of these bump outs in here, unless maybe we do one on this corner right here. It'd be a really good spot to help defend this inner, I believe it's the Bailey of this area. So yeah, well, you know what? Let's do that. Let's start with just this little bump out here. And then I think we'll go a slab or something. I'm not trying to go super big and heavy with this. So maybe we'll just make it about that big. And I can't really think of a good way to put a window on this. Let's see. Grab ourselves some stone. How can we put a window in here? What would look good without going too over the top? So if we were to maybe go like this, technically that's a window, and then we could go like this. Hey, that way. What am I doing? Oh, because it's connecting. Okay, that's a problem. Okay, well, you know what? Let's reverse it. How can we do this? So, like, oop, not like that. There's a wall in my way here. Put that in there. That like that. Then we'll do the same thing this way, maybe. It's a fun little challenge we got here. Put you in like that. Like that. Delete that. And then maybe, should we do a wall? Or should we just, yeah, let's just leave it like that. Yeah, we'll put walls in front of it to round it out. Grab ourselves some andesite walls here. We'll put one there, one there. Let's fill this back in. Like that. And technically this wouldn't be very realistic, being can't actually get into here. Unless we then we can justify breaking out these blocks. Like that. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. Let's go ahead and make it a little bit bigger, actually. Let's bring this down one. Make that window just a smidgen bigger. And this will actually allow us now to round this out like so. Let's see what this looks like. Let's see. I think instead of a wall, swap that out to stairs. There we go. Okay, it looks a little big and bulky, but maybe by the time we put the roof on, it'll tone it back, which now I'm thinking this is going to conflict with this. So let's bring it down 2 blocks. Just bring the whole thing down 2. That'll give us a little bit more wiggle room for putting in the roof. Okay, so now the fun part of rebuilding this. Yeah, we figured it out once. We can figure this out again. We got the general idea of this in place. I think we went just like this. Now let's put in our stairs. Wait, do they go this way? Whoop. I think we went this way with them. Should we go bigger? Why is that? I think I went like this way. There we go. Yes. Looks a little odd being taller. Can we round it out with some walls, maybe? Okay, fill this area in. This needs to go up one more. Put that there. And put you guys on. The only problem with this design is that it doesn't allow me the chance to connect the walls down to my transition block. So it has that little bit of break there, but what do we think? What do we think of that? Kind of looks like a face a little bit, like some sort of helmet, like a knight's helmet. Maybe, you know what? That actually looks pretty cool being like a knight's helmet. I guess it would fit the particular style of here, but it looks a little flat right now. Let's go ahead and build that up a little taller. And of course, we can't forget to add in our granite walls. Get our shape right. You know what? We're gonna do this. Let's build that out a little bit more. And should we go ahead and do that? What do we think about this? Now it looks pretty heavy. I think I went too much with that. So what about... we went to the upper level? Take a step back. Think about it. We're not rushing. Just trying to pick a nice aesthetic look. Man, I'm not feeling these walls right here. I think we might need to just bring this back down. Make this only too wide. There we go. Now what are we thinking? Gives us a lot more room for our andesite. So we got our stairs right there. Just curious. Let's bring this up one more. Like that? What's that do for us? Nah, too much. Too much. I think we were going for hyper realism with that. Man, I'm not feeling this roof right now. What can we do to this thing? Should we swap it out to just a slab level? Not make it as tall? There's just something going on here that I'm not a fan of. I think somewhere else, yeah, here we didn't actually put in the blocks below. We went ahead and lined up the slabs at the lower end of this. So let's go ahead and do that same thing here, where we put them on the lower bit. So that'll go there, just like this. And of course round it out. Okay, swap that back, and then, oof, it's only too wide, man. Can we go like that? That. It's definitely a little bit more toned back, for sure. But since we're working on the slab level now, we can't put walls. We can do that. And that. Or should we... Nope, definitely don't like the slabs there. It's too wide. And then finish things out by swapping that block out for granite. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, I can work with that. That looks pretty cool. I think it adds a cool little overwatch of this central courtyard. Maybe that's could be where one of the princes or something's quarter is, and they always like to come out and look into the main yard or something. Something like that. Now let's go ahead and put in our windows. Let's put one up higher here. I think we can get away with one a little lower right there. Now, should we take some time to do a little bit more ornate windows or something? think I had played around with it before on this front section. It didn't really work out for the scale that I was going for. But maybe we have a little bit more room for more of a grand window or something in here. So if we were to go with the typical look here. Yeah, I'm not really feeling that. I kind of like the look of just these two high, tall windows. I think anything more just is too much. So let's fill this all back in. And what about another window, say right here? And smaller window there. That's more like the attic storage or something. Okay, we'll let that ride for now. We have so much room for more windows. Can't really put any over there. So let's go ahead and just... I know I was saying I wasn't going for any sort of symmetry or anything here. I think it'll work well in our favor to put 3 sets of windows that are all even right there, because this would all be technically in one room. And then let's step it down and go opposite, so we're offsetting now. Let's see what this looks like. I'm gonna squeeze one more window right in here. I don't want to put one there because technically the building for that is there. And then right back for this. What's our general distance between windows? 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we can actually bring this down 2, which would work in our favor. Get us a little bit closer to ground level. Yes, I'm liking that. So it's actually a little bit higher than this, which is splitting the difference. I can totally dig that. Let's go with that for now. Put in this last one. There we go. Yes. Okay, well now we have so much vertical space. Why don't we play around with the idea of 3 tall windows? Since this would be more of like the grand hall. If we were to just bring these ones down, just like so. It looks like we'd have to do the same up here. You know what? I want to keep these 2. You're more up on the upper levels. I can't see the need for as much light to come in. Yeah, very grand look. That's what we're going for. Even though this is actually going to be a shop, you know, we still want to have a bit of fun. So where's our connector? Make this a very, very grand arch into the area. Offset 1. There we go. And of course put our stairs in just like so. And let's connect that in with our same style arch, since this is just a hallway. Probably would need a little bit more fortifications in this area since this is the main keep. Like I said, we're going for this is a shop, so very nice. I don't hate it. I think it might be a little bit much there. Nice, and it's still 3 tall, 4 in the middle. Yeah. Cool. Cool. Not really working on the inside today. We're working on that outside aesthetic. Lovely. This looks so awkward being too tall. Wish there's a way that I could do like a wall but not have it be centered inside the block, to have it offset. This is where more modded Minecraft or something would be pretty cool to go ahead and do. Yeah, I think that looks cool. Now, do we do the same thing or same style on the outside? What do we do out here? Not quite sure. Let's go ahead. We'll revisit this later. Let's work on the inside now, because then almost this entire inner courtyard will have our beautiful texture and gradient minus these three little sections here. Plus I want to do lots and lots of moss in here, so add the full effect. Yeah, I guess this area would be blocked from the sun, so it's justifiable to add a whole bunch of moss, as well as the tree would also serve well to put in more moss. You gotta be careful though, because we don't have moss stairs, so we need for the mossy cobblestone to take care of that little window aspect right there. So we just have to keep in mind when we're putting in this moss that we don't have stairs. Let's try that. More moss. There we go. Okay. Bring her on down. Bring it back up. There we go. Keep it right there at that level. Lots of moss for this section. This is all very well blocked from the sun. Between the other buildings, the tree, and all that, this area would be fully covered in moss. Lovely. As well as this, having this here gives us much more depth, I think. Okay, let's get ourselves some mossy cobblestone stairs. Go. Probably should get some regular cobblestone stairs. Where's my andesite? There we go. And let's work in that gradient. Maybe we'll go 3 on this one since we have so much room to play with. At least in most sections. I think it's justifiable to add in all these. And of course our stair. Oh, I thank you so much, Mariah. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy. This is all going to become a shop. No, it's not going to be my mega base. This is just going to be a shop, which is pretty funny to think that I'm spending all this time detailing this out when I'm not actually going to be living here. Although I have joked with Ricky CFT about, yeah, I'll just fully move into the shopping district full time. Just make my mega base here and just lag out the server or something. Cool. Alright. And you know what? Let's go ahead and make this fully immersed in the mossy cobblestone. Looks a little odd down there, but can't really do much about that. Oops. There we go. There's our 3 tall mossy cobblestone. Let's go 4 on this one. Oh, yes. Yep, that's coming right along. Working our cobblestone now. This is kind of the tedious part of just replacing blocks, but it all is going to pay off in the end when I bring this thing into the world. I spent all this time now to do this here, so when I go to use Lightmatica it will make things that much faster. Because I'm not going to build it all in one episode. I'll probably break it up into 2 or 3 little spurts, but I will definitely do a full replay mod time lapse of this when it's all completely done. I think that would look really cool to have a full-blown process of this thing just getting built from the ground up. Kind of similar to how Impulse SV did that with his factory on the latest episode of Hermitcraft. Alright, well thanks for swinging by, Mariah, and I thank you for all of the kind words on the build. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for swinging by. Okay, let's take a step back. Yeah, even though we went so extreme on that gradient, look at that. We have barely even taken up the bottom third of this main hall. That's kind of the one disadvantage here, is that we are just working on such an extreme amount of elevation with this build in order to keep that forced perspective when you're looking at this thing from a distance. Because you won't even be able to see most of this from the ground until you're inside the main hall. Because think the dirt pathway is going to be coming up just like this. So I mean, look at that. All you can see is the top, very, very tippity top of that circular tower. And as you get in, the rest of the builds really block your sight lines. I think that though is going to play in the advantage, because it makes you want to keep exploring, because you know there's just more to this. So you'll kind of follow this little pathway up, and you will enter into the gatehouse. And from here, there's not really much you can do. We should probably add some sort of entrance into the inner ward or the bailey. My castle terminology is pretty bad right now. I need to get schooled up on it. But then, yeah, once you find your way into this inner courtyard, that's where I think it's really going to be the highlight of this. Is you're just going to have so much of this verticality, I think would be the right word. There's so much going on as far as the actual height of these structures. Oh, man, I always do that. Always forget that gravel is a gravity block. Even though it's been in the game for, I think, since the very beginning. Somehow my brain's still like, no, you can put it up there. It's fine. Yeah, let's go 4 on that one. Why not? There's no rules, like I said before. Nope, there I go again. Well, hello, creeper. Are you enjoying the nice shade? Let's get some more of this in. Why not? Yeah. There I go again. Fantastic. Yeah, I don't even know where to start with the interior of this, because I do want to add some sort of realistic look, because the plan is for this to be like a grand shopping experience. You're gonna walk in through the main gate, and there's gonna be smaller wooden structures like what you would see inside of a standard castle, and those will sell different things. I think right here would be a great spot for a stable or something. We could be selling horses, saddles, horse armor, anything like that. And then we could have some sort of other shop, maybe over here where they are storing firewood. I could be selling logs, sticks, planks. Over here we could have some sort of like healer or something like that has potions. I don't know. That's where I want to hear what you guys think. What kind of stuff do you want to sell here? I'm not really, my plan is not to take over and be competitive with other of the Zetas as far as what they're selling. My plan is that I'll sell the same products at them, but I'm not going to undercut their prices. I'm actually going to do the exact opposite. I'm going to be above them in price, and my justification for that, would be when you go into your fancy restaurants or something like that. I'm not going to name drop or anything, but you go to your gourmet burger spots and stuff like that. It's not your typical fast food chains or something like that. You're going to be paying a little bit more for your burger, and it's not because it costs more to make that specific burger, but you're paying for the general aesthetic and the feeling of the area, all their artwork on the wall, the immersion that you have inside of that area. That's what you're paying more for. And I think that by having this grand castle look, that's kind of what we're going to go with. So you'll be paying more, but it's because you get to explore this grand structure, as well as this big old tower right here is going to be the home of a park course, or like free running course. So you'll have the gatehouse and the main keep, as well as any of the other buildings. Oh, excuse me. They'll be selling standard stock like that, but then there will be a lectern or something, maybe in the back of this, kind of where the throne would be right here, that will be like, hey, here is the beginning of this course, here's a bed, set your spawn, there's a very high chance that you'll die. And then this whole big old tubular area will be the home of a parkour course that has checkpoints and stuff like that. But you would pay like 1 diamond or something like that, and that would get exchanged into some sort of tokens or something like that. That then once you finally reach the top of this, after you've died enough times, or if you're just that good at parkour, you can ascend to the very top section of this, which would be this wider area here. And this is where it makes it all worth it, because then you take those tokens and you're going to have wicked deals on basically the same products. What costs 3 diamonds down there will give you twice as much or 3 times as much stock up here, because you had to go through all of that to get up here. So I think that'll be a fun little kind of incentive for others to join this area. And of course, it'll be limited to one transaction, not one transaction, but you can only shop in there the one time. And if you leave, you'll have to redo the course in order to come back in. So if you want to get a lot of stuff for cheap, you gotta spend your diamonds a lot right away, so you can exchange those at the top of the tower. So that is my plan for this area, as well as I then have this building, and this that might just, there's room for expansion. If we get in, the wild update and we get some new blocks or something like that to be sold, like put them in here. Or if I want to expand my inventory and say I do a partnership program outside of what I'm already in, allow them to sell stuff inside of these shops as well, for of course a percentage or something of their sales. Okay, well that was a lot of information. I do apologize if I just sit there and talk you guys' ears off instead of working on this build, but I think that looks really good. Let's go ahead and continue this general gradient at the bottom, and then we'll worry more about this top section for what our plans are for it. So kind of keep in mind that we're going for the shadowy sections will have a lot of this moss. This area, it's blocked by the trees, so let's bring on the moss. We've got a huge tower to cover. And this, we might actually add in some vines or something. We need to find a very creative way to break up these very long, flat, bland surfaces. So we'll work something up. I was going to do some rings. The inspirational image that I have has different sectional rings that they use to break this pillar into several different zones and stuff. So we'll probably have to kind of do that same little bit. But yeah, I'm not afraid to use a lot of moss blocks. I got a whole bunch when I was digging out an area for a farm that I haven't featured yet, so I don't want to do any spoilers on it. But I went ahead and did the trick where you just put down one moss block and use bone meal to replace those blocks, and then of course break them out with a hoe. So it actually was a little bit faster, but instead of just having your standard ores and stone and all that, this actually all got converted into moss, which I'm going to need for mossy cobblestone and just this regular straight moss block for our gradients. As well as I know there are at least one other Zeta that is selling moss blocks, and of course I want to support the local economy on the Zetacraft server. So I will probably be giving him a lot of my business as well. Cool. Well, we don't want to make this look like too much of a repeating pattern, so let's go ahead and bring that up more. There we go. It's all about that interest. So I want to make sure that when this season does eventually end, which I don't foresee a end anywhere in sight, like we're all having so much fun working on our builds, and like I said, I haven't even started on my mega build, so there's that I need to start working on designing. Here I am building a shop instead. But when the world tour does come out and you guys can get your hands on this world, I want to make sure that when you guys come and check this area out, that I took the time to build this thing fully complete for you guys. Okay, so where do we actually step down? So that's still that part of the building, but this has become the next section. Okay, so we're on the south side. A lot of blockage of the sun from the other building, so we'll kind of keep up with all of the moss, because once again, this is a very large surface to cover. Just moss blocks for days is what we're going for. Oh, excuse me. Nose itched. Keep right on cruising. We're almost tied in with our last little building. Then that would be the inner section. Just like that. So yes, so much moss. You're just surrounded by greenery. And I love it. Absolutely love it. Now on to the next blocks. I can't wait to actually see the material list that I'm going to have when it comes time to build this, because with Lightmatica you can get a full material list that lets you know what you have as far as those items that tell you, how many you have in your actual inventory. So I'm both excited and very nervous to see how many just regular stone as well as other blocks I'm going to need. Like this is going to be quite the grind session to gather up everything I need to build this thing up. But like I said, it'll all be worth it in the end. I will gladly grind out the resources for this, and gives me another chance to just rock out to some music or something and relax and just play the game. Fantastic. Alright, well here is your guys' hour-and-a-half reminder to drink water. Oh, that is so much better. Hydration is key. Last thing I want is for anybody to get a little too dehydrated just sitting here watching my stream. Can't be having you guys having your eyeballs dry out. When I'm spending all this time with all these details, you won't be able to admire them. Just kidding. But seriously though, water is key. Don't forget to drink water. Excuse me. Alright. There's just so many blocks placed. I kind of want to do a full count to see. Is this going to be like 100,000 blocks or something like that? Like what is going to be the grand total for blocks that we're going to need for this build. Oh, that's so wonderful. Wow, what a difference that can make once that gradient is wrapped all over. The tree's kind of blocking a little bit, which I think I need to bring that tree down like 1 block or something. We got this like 4 blocks down to this area by the time we build up the hill. It's going to be a lot of fun to work the actual terraforming underneath this. I haven't even bothered to try, but yeah, same thing. Like the bottom of this building is almost at the top of this wall, so I might need to put in some retaining walls or something. Oh, welcome, Ice. You like soda. Well, you know what? There's water in soda. It's not quite as, healthy for you, but you're not wrong. You're consuming water when you drink soda. So I'm not going to dock you for that. Not that I have any sort of ability to actually physically dock you or anything like that. To each their own. But you should drink something. If only there was somebody on the server that had a cobblestone generator, Cablecraft, that I can use to gather up all this. And, maybe if there's also somebody on the server that, Ricky, has a super smelter to save me the time of having to actually go and dig all this out. Although I did borrow, quote unquote, borrow Maya's, his beacon when I was digging out the area for my industrial district. So I actually have, I think, like 5 double chests or something of stone. So hopefully that's enough. I can't imagine needing 10 shulker boxes of stone, just straight stone. Maybe, I'm going to be looking at a full inventory of shulker boxes for all of the ingredients, but hopefully no more of that of stone. But even if it is, it'll all be worth it, like I said. Just talking in loops, here we go. Another loop of talking. Oh, I'm just kidding with you guys. I'm just having fun. Having a lot of fun. Just hanging out with you all and placing some blocks right now. It's not really anything super critical about the thinking. We're not trying to build up another one of these little sticky out parts. This is all just working the general gradient that I have determined for this area. And just like that, moving right along. Just keep that pace going with the gravel. And I think we'll do 3 on this one too. Whoop, there. It's fine. Yes, just like that. Wonderful. I hope you saw it. I almost went from the top down on that one. And there I went and did it there. I'm getting better. So much gravel. Luckily, on the gravel front, the piglin trading bartering system that I set up in the last episode just gives me an absurd amount of gravel without having to go out and actually manually grind for it. Oh, excuse me about that. So luckily on that front, we're good. I can just pay a whole bunch of gold and get gravel. Wow, that gradient takes us all the way to the top. I love it. Maybe we'll just swap it up for 2 high in this section. Actually, really about as much room as I have. Because once again, this area is going to be pretty well blocked from the actual visual sight lines. Unless you circle around to the back side of the tree, you won't really be able to see most of this. Let's kind of take a moment. I might actually move this tree back. I think it would make a lot more sense because there's not as much height change if I were to scoot this tree back to, say, the center of it right here. And I have the file, so it'd be easy to just paste this in a little bit further back. But of course I have to delete it out first. You know what, let's go ahead and step things back up to 3 on this one. So I think one way that we can add the bit of visual interest that I was talking about on this is with those rings, that would give us another reason or excuse to add in more of the mossy drips that we were working on per se. You know what I'm talking about as far as having the water staining the stone like that. If we have a ring or something around here, that would be an area where water could be sitting and have time for the algae to cling to the stone, as well as the more glow lichen to add to the theme of our castle. Okay, there is the inside gradient all done. We just need to add in the andesite and stone bricks throughout there. Should we take the time and work on the outside? Man, it's going to take forever. Which, by the way, this little section right here, since I'm distracted, is going to be a giant porch. I figured this thing lines up pretty well with this little bay here. And technically, this whole castle is going to move back like 10 blocks or so, because I do believe, Ice, you own... Let's pull up our chunk borders right here. I do believe you own this one right here. So it actually looks like I'm going to have to move this thing back probably almost full 16 blocks to make sure that I am not infringing on the chunk that you own. Unless, of course, you want to work some sort of deal or something to where you can advertise on the side of the castle. Something like that, because I did come back in. I do believe I bought the land all the way to the water. So I should have, yeah, I got at least a full chunk of buffer that I can use. And, of course, I can just buy a few more around here if I need to terraform this to make it all blend back into the terrain. And also, I'm thinking about raising this whole thing up. I'm going to joke and say 5 blocks, but realistically, it'll probably be more like 10 or so to really give that grand look of this thing being, you know, up and very defensible with cliffs all the way around. Because technically we have, this mountain over here, which, what is the height on this thing? Very highest block is on 124. So if we were to raise this thing up, I don't know, say 15 blocks or something, that would put the very bottom of this castle at, if we went 10 blocks, that put it at 97. And the very, very tippity top, I haven't done the roof on this top little spire tower, but it's going to be a very, very pointy wizardy hat one. So it's probably going to be somewhere right up around here. So that puts us at like 210, which with the new update and the build height limit, we still have plenty of room. But it would definitely dominate the skyline of this area. Because, I mean, let's put it in perspective here. TMG Tower, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 stories tall. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 stories tall. And this tower, as of right now, is about the same height of TMG Tower. Yeah, and this is built above where it's truly located, because actually it ends up right here. I built this up above. Geek Squeak and Maya, they were doing a little bit of design in there, and then I came in and worked on my design above. So yeah, I would say that this thing will be an eye catcher for sure, which is what I'm going for. As well as the fact that I have Rusty Mojo, Will, or De-Stressing Dad, as well as Evio, that all own shops right here in front. So I want to make sure that you can take the time to appreciate all of these details by elevating the whole structure up just a little bit more. So, I don't know, guys. I think I'm gonna go ahead and call it a day on there. I know we didn't spend a whole bunch of time. We're only, just under 2 hours or something like that on here. But I think that I'm gonna go ahead and take a little break, and then I might come back. I might not. We'll have to see. But yeah, I do hope that you guys did enjoy this stream today. And if you're watching this kind of after the fact, please do subscribe and give this stream a thumbs up. It would really help out the channel, and I do appreciate that. But with that, my friends, I do hope that you guys enjoy. And have a good one, everyone.